I never thought I'd be the guy writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I'll keep it real. My marriage with Lisa was pretty solid for a long time, or so I thought. We'd been together for about 7 years, married for 5. We had our ups and downs like any couple, but I always believed we were in it for the long haul. She was smart, sexy, a little bitchy sometimes. Yeah, I'll admit it, but that's what I loved about her. She had this attitude that kept our relationship interesting, or at least that's what I told myself. Things started to feel off about 2 months ago. At first, I didn't really notice. Lisa had been acting a little distant, more preoccupied, like she had a secret she wasn't sharing. She'd come home late from work, sometimes smelling different, like perfume I didn't recognize or something else entirely. She'd brush it off with some snarky comment about how I was imagining things or that I was just insecure. I tried to ignore it, thinking maybe she was just stressed with her job. She's a sales manager, always busy, always on her phone. We'd argue occasionally about her being glued to her screen, but I didn't want to be that guy who overthought everything. Then came the night I found out she'd been lying to me. I remember it clearly. I was sitting on the couch, scrolling through my phone after a long day of being laid off, another job gone, another hope dashed, and I noticed a strange notification. A text message from someone named Jake. I didn't recognize the number. Something about a meetup, a special night, and a lot of flirtatious emojis. My heart sank. I froze. My world started spinning. I felt this punch in my gut. Something was really wrong. I opened the message and it was clear. Lisa was talking to my best friend Jake like they were more than just friends. I couldn't believe it. My mind started racing. How long had this been going on? How did I not see it? I remembered the last time Lisa and I had an argument about her late nights, and now I understood. She was hiding something. The worst part, she'd been lying right in front of me all along. Pretending everything was fine, smiling when she said she loved me. I kept thinking about the photos I found later, screenshots she made sure I'd never see of her and Jake together, smiling like they'd just won the lottery. The way they looked at each other in those pictures, it was like they had this secret language. And the way she looked at him in those photos, that smug, self-satisfied smile, it cut deep. I didn't know what to do. I wanted to scream, cry, punch something all at once. How could she do this? After everything we'd been through, after all the plans we made. I kept asking myself if I missed signs, if I was just blind. The worst part is that I was at my lowest point, laid off, broke, feeling like I had nothing, yet she still found a way to do this. It felt like a punch to the stomach every time I thought about it. I kept replaying that moment when I saw the message, and it made me realize that my entire relationship had been a lie. All those quiet nights, all those little excuses she gave, and behind my back she was with my best friend. How could I have missed it? How could I have been so stupid? I remember the moment I confronted her. I was furious, hurt, and confused all at once. I wanted answers, but mostly I just wanted to make her feel as miserable as I felt. I called her in the middle of the night. Her voice was cold, like she'd been waiting for me to find out. She denied everything at first, lied right through her teeth. Said I was paranoid, that I was imagining things, that Jake was just a friend. But the evidence was right there in my hand. Screenshots, messages, the way she avoided my eyes and tried to change the subject. When I told her I knew, her smile just got wider, like she was proud of herself, like she thought she was smarter than me. That's when the real pain hit. It wasn't just about the betrayal, it was about how she looked smiling after all she'd done. It was like she was mocking me, like she was saying, "You're so stupid to trust me." I felt my chest tighten. My mind kept spinning between rage and despair. I didn't even know what I wanted anymore. Part of me wanted to explode, to tear her apart with words or fists. But I also felt this overwhelming sadness, like I'd lost the woman I loved, the woman I thought I knew. This betrayal hit me harder than anything I've ever experienced. It made me question everything about us, about myself, about trust and loyalty. Now I'm sitting here writing this out because I don't know what else to do. I'm trying to figure out what comes next. Do I forgive her? Do I walk away? Do I try to fix something that's obviously broken? Honestly, I don't think I can trust her anymore. And Jake, I don't even want to get started on that bastard. How he could do this to his best friend, I'll never understand. I'm more broken over her betrayal than I am about losing my job, and that's saying something. I don't know how to move on from this, but I know I have to find a way. I just needed to get this off my chest. If anyone out there has been through something similar, tell me how you did it. I'm lost. After that night, everything changed. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat, and I kept replaying the images of her smiling with Jake. They're stupid. Selfies, the way she looked so damn happy, like she had won something. I kept asking myself how I missed it, how I didn't see the signs sooner. I was just so broken, feeling like my world had shattered into a million pieces. My trust, which I thought was unbreakable, was gone. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her and Jake together, and it made me want to scream or cry or both at once. The worst part was that she kept lying. Even after I confronted her, she spun these ridiculous stories about how she was just talking to Jake, that they were just friends, and that I was overreacting. She looked me in the eyes with that bitchy smirk like she thought I was some naive fool. She told me I was imagining things, that I was insecure, that I was jealous because I just lost my job. I couldn't believe her. How could someone I loved do this to me? How did she have the nerve to lie so blatantly and then act like I was the crazy one? I wanted to believe her at first. I really did. But every time I looked at her, I saw the lies. I saw her hiding her phone, sneaking around, and I could feel this gnawing feeling deep inside, like I was losing my mind. Honestly, I was so angry I wanted to break something. My hands trembled every time I thought about that damn photo of her and Jake, their smug faces staring back at me from that screen. I even thought about calling Jake, confronting him directly, but I knew that wouldn't do any good. I didn't want to stoop to his level. What good would that do? Besides, I wasn't sure if I'd be able to hold back the rage. I decided I needed some space, some time to sort through what I was feeling. I moved into the guest room, trying to keep my distance from her, but it felt like I was living next to a stranger, someone I once loved, now just a betrayal. I spent hours just sitting there, staring at the wall, wondering how someone could do this to me. I kept remembering how she used to be so bitchy, so sarcastic, but also so loving. Now, all I saw was this cold, manipulative woman who lied her way through everything. How could she look at herself in the mirror? Meanwhile, she kept up the act, throwing tantrums whenever I brought up the subject. She'd yell, call me paranoid, accuse me of overreacting and not trusting her. That's when I really saw her true colors. She could lie with that bitchy smile, still pretending to be the innocent victim. Every time she did that, I felt this surge of rage. It's like she was playing a game and I was the one who got screwed over. I wanted to yell, "You're a cheating bitch." But I restrained myself. I was trying to keep my cool, but inside I was burning. What really crushed me, though, was how she kept telling me I was overreacting, how I was making a scene, and that I needed to calm down. Like her cheating, her lies, and her smiling photos weren't a big deal. She acted like she was the victim, like I was the crazy one. That made me feel even more helpless. I kept asking myself, how did I get here? How did I let her do this? It was like I was in some bad dream that I couldn't wake up. From one day, I found myself going through her phone when she wasn't paying attention. I wasn't trying to snoop, but I just needed to see the truth. I found more messages, more photos, more lies. She'd been talking to Jake for months. They'd planned meetings, exchanged flirtatious texts, and worst of all, she'd told him she loved him. I saw the messages where she said she'd leave me for him, that I was a boring, insecure loser, and that she deserved someone who could give her what she wanted. The words cut deep. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach all over again. That's when I knew I couldn't stay in that house anymore, not with her lying in bed next to me, pretending everything was okay. I gathered myself up and told her I needed a break, that I couldn't deal with her bullshit anymore. She threw a fit, started crying, called me crazy, and accused me of ruining everything. But I didn't care. I knew what I saw, and I knew I couldn't trust her again. Not after she lied so many times. Not after I found out she'd been screwing around with my best friend. Honestly, I don't know what I expected. Deep down, I guess I hoped she'd deny it or admit she was sorry, but she didn't. She just kept up the fake tears and the bullshit. And Jake? Well, I don't even know what to say about that bastard. I never thought he'd do something so low, especially with his best friend's wife. That betrayal cut even deeper because I thought he was my brother in a way. Turns out he was just another snake. I felt like I'd lost everything, my trust, my dignity, my sense of stability. And I was still sitting here trying to come to terms with how much I'd been played. So I decided I was done. Done with the lies, the fake smiles, the betrayals. I told her I was leaving, that I needed space to think. It was the hardest thing I ever had to do, but I knew I couldn't stay in that house with her anymore. I didn't want to be around someone who could do this to me, who could smile and pretend everything was fine while she was cheating behind my back. I felt numb, like I had no control over my own life anymore. But I also knew I had to move on somehow. I just didn't know how yet. After I told her I was leaving, the house felt even emptier than before. Her fake tears and angry accusations faded into the background as I packed a bag and left that night. I didn't tell her where I was going. Honestly, I didn't even know myself. I just needed to get away from her, from the betrayal, from the sight of her with Jake. The drive was a blur. I kept thinking about how everything fell apart so fast, how I went from feeling secure in my marriage to feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. For days, I stayed in a hotel, trying to keep my head straight. Some friends reached out, but mostly I kept to myself, drowning in my own thoughts. Every now and then, I'd get a flash of that stupid photo, the one where she and Jake are smiling like they'd just won the lottery. I'd see her face, her smug look, and it would make me so damn angry. I kept asking myself how I didn't see it coming, how I could have been so blind. She always said she hated drama, that she was honest, that she loved me. Turns out that was all bullshit. I started noticing things I'd missed before. The way she'd be quick to hide her phone when I came into the room. The way she'd lie about where she was going, then come back smelling different, like she'd been somewhere else. She'd make excuses, but I could tell she was lying. I could feel it in my gut. It was a strange mix of heartbreak and rage, knowing she was out there, with Jake, laughing, having sex, doing everything I'd once thought was sacred between us. It made me want to scream. One thing that really messed with my head was how she kept texting me, trying to get a reaction. At first I ignored her, but then she started sending these passive-aggressive messages, accusing me of being paranoid, jealous, or crazy. She even called me a clingy idiot and said I was ruining everything. I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel some kind of guilt, like maybe I overreacted, like maybe I was just insecure. But I knew that wasn't true. I knew what I saw. I'd seen the photos. I'd read the messages. I'd felt the way she looked at Jake, the way she lied to my face. It was during that period of separation that I finally started to piece things together. I realized that she'd been playing me from the start, pretending to be this wife I could trust while secretly cheating. I found out about the times she'd sneaked out late at night, about her secret conversations, and about how she'd planned to leave me for Jake, probably the moment she realized I was at my lowest point. That realization made me feel sick. It was like she'd used my vulnerability as an excuse to cheat, as if my worst moment was her chance to ruin me. Honestly, I felt so betrayed I almost didn't care about the pain anymore. It just became this dull ache that never went away. Every day was a battle between anger and despair. I kept wondering how she could be so selfish, so bitchy, so hell-bent on destroying what we had. The more I thought about her lying and smiling in those photos, the more I hated her. I hated Jake too, for being such a piece of shit. How could he do this to me? My best friend, my wife, what kind of sick game was this? Eventually, I knew I had to face the reality that this was the end. I couldn't keep pretending she was innocent or that I could somehow fix this mess. The trust was broken beyond repair. I started to question everything, what I did wrong, if I was just too blind to see her true nature. But deep down, I knew I wasn't the one at fault here. She was the one who betrayed me, who lied and smiled in those photos like it was some kind of victory. That's what hurt the most, her smiling like she'd won, while I was left with nothing. In the quiet moments, I'd think about all the good times, the plans we made, the future I once imagined. Now, all of that felt like a distant memory. I felt hollow, like I'd lost my best friend, my wife, and myself all at once. It's strange how quickly everything can fall apart when someone you love turns out to be a complete stranger. I kept asking myself if I'd ever trust again, if I could ever look at a woman the same way. Honestly, I don't think I will. But I knew I had to move forward. I had to start rebuilding my life from nothing. It wasn't easy. Every day was a struggle to not break down or lash out. But I also realized that I deserved better than someone who could lie so easily, who could smile with my best friend behind my back. I've learned that trust, once broken, is nearly impossible to repair, and sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away and find your own peace. That's what I'm trying to do now. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I know I won't ever forget this pain. And maybe someday I'll be stronger for it. As the days turned into weeks, the reality of everything sank deeper. I still saw her face in my mind, that smug expression she wore when I confronted her, the way she dismissed everything I said. Every time I thought about trying to patch things up or even ask for an apology, I'd remember how she lied and laughed in my face. Honestly, the more I thought about it, the more I realized that she was never really sorry. She just played her part well, crying, acting hurt, pretending she cared. But her actions proved otherwise. I started to notice something else. She was still trying to contact me, trying to reach out, texts, calls, even those passive-aggressive messages. At first, I ignored her, refusing to pick up or answer. But then I saw how desperate she was getting, how she kept pushing for a response. It was like she thought if she kept begging, I'd somehow forgive her. The truth is, I was done forgiving her. How do you forgive someone who lied about loving you, cheated on you with your best friend, and then smiled about it like it was nothing? I didn't want to hear her excuses or her lies anymore. One night, after a particularly long day of feeling numb, I decided I had to confront her again, not in person but directly. I texted her that I wanted to talk. No bullshit, no games. Just the truth. She responded right away, trying to manipulate me with her typical bitchy attitude, insisting she hadn't done anything wrong, that I was overreacting. She called me insecure, jealous, and said I was making a big deal out of nothing. I couldn't believe her. How could she be so cold? How could she still deny everything, even after all the proof I had? That night, I finally laid everything out. I told her I knew about the messages, the photos, the plans she'd made with Jake. I told her I saw her smiling with him, heard about her saying she loved him, and that I knew she'd been lying to me the whole time. She responded with that same bitchy smirk, telling me I was crazy, that I was imagining things, and that I was just jealous. But I didn't care anymore. I'd made up my mind. I told her I wanted her to leave. I couldn't be in the same house with someone who had betrayed me like this. She threw a fit, of course. Started screaming, calling me a psycho, claiming I was ruining everything because I didn't trust her. That's when I realized how much she'd been gaslighting me, trying to turn my feelings around so I'd doubt myself. But I didn't care about her tantrum. I knew the truth. I knew she was a liar and a cheat, and I knew I had to get out of there before I lost myself completely. So I packed my things and left that night. I stayed at a friend's place for a few days, trying to breathe, trying to regain some kind of clarity. It was hard. I'd never felt this kind of pain before, like someone had reached inside and ripped out my heart. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her with Jake, that stupid photo, the way she smiled like she just won. I kept asking myself how I could have been so blind, so stupid to believe in us. But I also knew that I couldn't go back. No matter how much I wished it wasn't true, I had to accept that she was gone, at least the woman I thought I knew. In those quiet moments, I started to realize that I was not just hurting over her betrayal, but over the loss of what we once had, what I believed was real. It was like mourning a death, just without the body. I was mourning the relationship, the future we'd planned, the trust that I thought we shared. The hardest part was accepting that she didn't care. She was smiling in those photos, happy with Jake, and probably had no regrets. That realization made me feel more alone than ever, like I'd been left behind in a world that no longer made sense. I also began to reflect on what I could learn from all this. I kept telling myself that I'd been naive, trusting her so blindly. But I also realized I needed to stop blaming myself. She was the one who lied and cheated. She was the one who betrayed everything we built. I had loved her, but she chose to throw it all away for some stupid thrill. And Jake, well, I keep coming back to how much of a snake he turned out to be. How he could do that to his best friend, screw him over so easily. That thought makes me sick to my stomach. How do you even forgive someone like that? Now, I'm trying to focus on healing. I know I'll never forget what happened, but I also know I can't let it destroy me. I've started seeing a therapist, talking about all the anger and sadness I feel. It's not easy, but I know. I need to do it. I need to rebuild my life piece by piece. I've blocked her on everything. No more texts, no more calls, no way for her to manipulate me. I don't want her apology or her tears. I want to move on and find myself again. That's all I can do now. Just take it one day at a time. The process of moving on has been brutal. Each day feels like I'm just surviving, not really living. I've had moments where I think I'm making progress, getting out of the house, reconnecting with friends, even going back to work. Then something hits me out of nowhere. A song on the radio, a smell, a random memory, and suddenly I'm back in that house, back to feeling that crushing betrayal all over again. It's like my mind refuses to let go of her, no matter how much I tell myself I deserve better. One thing that's become clearer is how much I underestimated her. I always thought Lisa was this bitchy, confident woman, but I never imagined she could be so manipulative, so cold. She lied about so many things, about her feelings, about her fidelity, about who she was. It's like I was living with a stranger all along, someone who pretended to love me while she was planning her exit with Jake. That realization is almost worse than the betrayal itself. It makes me question everything I knew about her, about trust, and about the kind of person I was with. I also started to see how much I relied on her for my happiness. After losing my job, I was already feeling like I'd hit rock bottom. She was supposed to be my anchor, my partner. Instead, she used my vulnerability against me. That's what hurts the most. I let her in, I trusted her, and she repaid that trust by screwing my best friend and smiling in the photos they took together. The thought of those pictures makes me physically sick. It's like her smile is embedded in my brain, mocking me, reminding me of how I was so blind to see the truth. At times, I wonder if I should even try to talk to her again. Part of me wants closure, to hear her admit she was wrong, that she's sorry. But another part knows I'd just be wasting my breath. She's good at lying, at pretending she cares, but I saw through it. I saw her face when she thought I wasn't looking, that little flicker of guilt that she quickly masked with that bitchy smirk. That was the only real moment I've seen from her, when she thought she'd get away with everything. I've started to focus on myself more. Going to therapy helped. It's slow, but I'm learning to process the anger and hurt. I'm trying to forgive myself for trusting her so blindly. I've also been trying to rebuild my confidence, get back into some kind of routine. I signed up for a gym membership, started running again. It's not much, but it helps burn off some of that rage. I know I need to do this for myself, not for her or Jake. I can't let their betrayal define me. The hardest part is the loneliness. I keep thinking about how she said she loved me, how she used to look at me with that bitchy smirk like I was just some fool she was toying with. And Jake. How could he do this to me, his best friend? That's what keeps echoing in my head, how they betrayed everything we stood for. I keep asking myself if I'll ever trust again, if I'll ever be able to see a woman without thinking of her smile with Jake. Honestly, I don't know if I can. But I do know I need to move forward somehow. It's just so damn hard. Every step I take feels like another reminder of what I lost. I've started to accept that I won't get closure from her. No heartfelt apology, no, I was stupid. No remorse, nothing but her smiling photos and her lies. I realize now that I have to create my own closure. I have to let go of what I can't change and focus on rebuilding my life. I want to find happiness again, even if it's just small moments at first. I want to stop feeling like I'm drowning in the pain. That's the goal now, to keep going, to keep fighting for a better version of myself. Because honestly, I deserve that much. I just wish I'd seen it all coming sooner, but I guess sometimes you only learn the hard way. Now, looking back, I realize I've come a long way from that shattered night of discovery. It's not that I've completely healed, but I've learned to carry this pain differently. I've accepted that some betrayals cut so deep they change you forever, but they also teach you things about trust, about strength, about the kind of boundaries you need to set for yourself. I used to believe in happily ever after in faith that my partner genuinely loved me. Now I know better. Love isn't just about trust. It's about respect, honesty, and knowing when to walk away before everything's completely broken. Living through this has opened my eyes to what I truly value. I've learned that I don't need someone who smiles with my best friend behind my back, someone who lies and manipulates to satisfy her own selfish needs. I deserve someone who respects me, who stands by me through the hard times, not one who uses those moments to cheat and deceive. I've come to understand that sometimes the best thing you can do is let go of the person, the pain, and the false hope. Now, I focus on rebuilding myself. I go to therapy regularly, work on my confidence, reconnect with friends I neglected when I was caught up in my marriage. I even started dating again cautiously. It's scary, but it's also freeing. I don't want to carry this baggage forever. I want to find someone who genuinely cares, who won't smile in photos while secretly screwing my best friend. Most importantly, I've learned to forgive myself. I've been angry at myself for trusting Lisa so blindly, for believing her lies, but I also understand that I wasn't wrong for loving her. Love isn't a mistake, it's a part of life. What matters now is how I choose to move on. I can't change what happened, but I can control how I let it shape me. Looking at the future, I'm hopeful. Hopeful that I'll find happiness again. Hope that I'll learn to trust someone new. And hope that I'll never let myself be so blind again. I want to believe that eventually, I'll look back at all this and see it as a chapter that made me stronger, not weaker. Because I've learned that even after the worst betrayal, life goes on. And sometimes, the only way to truly heal is to accept the pain, learn from it, and keep moving forward, no matter how hard it gets.